What's poppin', players? Welcome back to the Two Penny Gamescast, episode 128. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host. Say hello to the people, Connor Elliott.
Hi, how are you?
And joining us, as he does every so often, and last week, Phil Shoemaker. Say hello.
Cheers.
Cheers. There we go. Happy New Year's, everybody. Hope you gentlemen had a great New Year's experience. Got drunk, fucking maybe got some nuts off. I don't know. Whatever you gentlemen do.
This is a family-friendly podcast, Tavin.
No, it's
Calm it
not.
down. Bill, that is anger in your eyes. What happened to you?
I don't know what just happened. It cut out a little bit.
Hope you all got your New Year's kisses.
Hey.
I didn't.
Aw. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen,
loser.
usually this show comes to you every Monday at 8 a.m. Central Time, youtube.com/2pennygames, and mainstream podcast services of your choice, like it is right now. However, usually it's just me and Connor here talking about the video game news, each bringing you two topics, 2 pennies, if you will, and giving you our 2 cents on them. However, it's the first episode of the year, so we, as always, this is the 3rd time doing it, I believe, like to look back at the year before and give you our top 10 list of the top 10 video games each of us played throughout the year. Once the way it works is I'm going to give my 10. If my number 10 lands somewhere else in somebody else's list, they are also going to talk about their number 10. For example, if it's fucking, I don't know, The Witcher 3 Definitive Edition or some shit. And I say, hey, number 10. And then Connor's like, yeah, that was my number 7. So we'll both have that conversation at the same time. When we come around to number 7, Connor will be like, yeah. Or he won't. I'm sorry. I fucked all this up. Gentlemen.
It's
I fucked it
complicated.
up.
3 different people.
It is a
with
little.
10
It is a
things.
little thing. It's a lot to keep track in the brain. Anyways, Connor will say it is in his list later. He won't say where it is. When it comes time for that to come back around, he will then be, number 7 is Witcher 3. Yada yada yada. We already talked about it, so we can move on.
No spoilers.
Except if the game lands in our top 3s, we will remain silent. We will let the person talk. And then when that top 3 contender comes around, then that person will get to nerd out and talk about it and praise it for all its glory. Before we do our top 3s, however, when we get past number 4, we will each give you our 3 honorable mentions for the year. This does not have to be a video game that came out this year, but it is a game we played this year and had a lot of fun with. Did that make sense? I know I kind of fumbled in the beginning, but I think it'll make sense as we go along. However, gentlemen, I did something new this year where I had each of you send me your lists prior to the episode, which is usually all 3 of us go in blind. You 2 don't know anybody else's lists. I know everybody's lists. And I've organized B-roll footage accordingly, which we'll play here in a second. And what I've done is I've given each placement on your list a numerical value. Number 1 is worth 10 points. Number 10 is worth 1 point. I calculated all the numbers of all 3 of our lists, put them all together, and arranged our top 10 games as a collective. What I want you gentlemen to do is guess what the top 3 games are.
Easy.
It should be pretty easy. But just go ahead, think of the lists, and write down your 3 lists. And while I give y'all time to do that, I'm gonna kick the list off with number 10. My number 10 is Multiverses. Multiverses was a lot of fun. I think it's a worthy Smash clone, if you want to call it that. I think it's a lot of fun, and it has the opportunity for a lot of great roster picks and roster choices, and I hope that they continue to see success with Multiverses and build it out. It's just unfortunate that it didn't capture me longer than a weekend. Like, I had a great 2 weeks experience with Multiverses, and then I put it down and didn't really think of it ever again. I think the Black Adam expansion season thing that they were all focused on alongside the movie was a mistake. It killed almost all interest I had in the game, and it seemed to have killed pretty much the entire conversation about the game. But I do hope that like Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl last year before. I hope that they will continue to give us updates and, it will continue to thrive and find an audience, because Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl is still kind of there. It's a small audience, and I think this one has a better chance than that to continue going. We just need to start adding characters that WB owns that are actually interesting. Where is Harry Potter? Where are the Goonies? Where is more Game of Thrones characters, more DC characters, more Looney Tunes characters, and all that? Like, we just need a lot more. But I thought the team mechanics in it were actually pretty fun and pretty thought out for what this type of game is, and I thought it felt pretty good to play. Where the fighting mechanics like the most complex and balanced? No, not really, but it was still a lot of fun, and I had a good time playing it.
Multiverses is also on my list.
If this was the top 10, 11 games, it would have been on my list.
Just missed the cut. The cut, that one. Phil, how are you on Multiverses?
I like it a lot. I think it's a fantastic multiplayer game. Definitely, like you said, a worthy Smash clone. I think Warner Brothers has the only catalog that I think could rival Nintendo. I think it's the only one that I think has the prospect of rivaling Nintendo in that case of like a party game fighter.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. I think my cats are trying to get on their food. I'll be right back.
Oh no, the cats. Well, Connor, while he's off,
like thump 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 thump, like they're like shaking the fucking container.
Yeah, Connor, while he's off doing that, talk to us about your number 10 choice.
My number 10 pick is Warhammer 40K Darktide, a Left 4 Dead style game. Came out back in November, made by Fat Shark, people who made Vermintide, a somewhat similar game and set in a different but similar universe. Without going into that, unfortunately, I wanted to place this game a lot higher because the pros of it are the gameplay is amazing. You have weapons.
What the fuck that noise is, but it's weird. It's not my
cat. It's another possum in your ceiling, Phil. Go get it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's gonna be careful.
I think it's something. I think it has to be like one of my neighbors or something.
Mm-hmm. Doing some yard work.
It's like dump 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 dump, and it's like every couple seconds.
Oh yeah, it's got to be some hammering or something.
That's like scary stories to tell in the dark. Something like that happened in that state. So be careful. But yeah. Number 10 spot, Warhammer 40K Darktide. Great combat. You have melee weapons and ranged weapons. All of the ranged weapons, though they have certain uses for them, and you're not going to like all of them personally, they all feel good. They all, pack a lot of punch when you're shooting enemies, which usually come in large waves, which differentiate themselves by some being used for crowd control, some being used to take out specifically stronger targets that need a little bit more firepower bringing down. But in addition to that, the melee weapons, which are also just as diverse as the ranged weapons, all pack a punch, all have an interesting, unique way of attack, with like the Thunder Hammer, which you charge it up with a large thunder blast and you whack enemies. And if they're smaller, they go flying because they're getting hit by just this, thunderous blast, and is also great at taking out really tough enemies. The chain swords that rev into people with their chain blades and, completely stop enemies in their track. It all works together to bring together what'd you say?
Don't worry about it.
It all blended together to have this amazing gameplay experience, which unfortunately was compounded by incomplete systems, such as crafting, not having all the weapons in the game right from the get-go and rolling them out for free. But for a game that you expect to be complete when you buy it, this game was not complete. And I couldn't recommend it to people because of that reason alone. But I can recommend it to people for the gameplay and what the game will eventually become when those systems are in the game. But as a launch game, as a launch title, it unfortunately didn't hit the mark to raise higher than 10, and it's carried on the laurels of its gameplay and level design.
Are you telling me they put a game out early access and then are pretending it's a games as a service game?
No, they're not even. They put it out, they did a pre-order, which was early access, only those who pre-ordered it, and they didn't have everything in the base game. So the entire time, was like, okay, well, the full game is going to come out, all the crafting is going to be available, the upgrade stations are all going to be unlocked, because they were locked originally, and they're not still. And you're rolling it out slowly, and it's like, why is this not in the base game? It should be in...
That's fucking
nuts.
It's
a game. Yeah, so I couldn't raise it higher, but I wish I could. But it lies at my number 10 spot of the year. And I'll be playing it as the years go by.
No, just when you said Chainblade, I immediately thought back to Ratchet & Clank 2. Chainblade.
That's what it was. It was itching in my head. I couldn't put it. There we go. Phil, you're number 10.
My number 10 is a little game about a little cat. It's called Stray. Stray. It's a great game. It got best debut indie. It's a really fun game. I had a really good time with it. I played I kind of passed the controller back and forth between me and Ash, my girlfriend, and yeah, it was a great time. We were just having a great because what's funny is the main cat looked just like our new kitten that we got, a little orange tabby cat, and so it was funny because whenever we first started playing, Rue, my cat, she would run up to the screen and just watch. She was enthralled by the game. It's like, what the fuck, is that me? But yeah, it was just really fun time being a cat, rubbing up on little robots or their legs, getting pets, taking a little nap. There's that one robot you can take a nap on. It was just a cute cat simulator game, man, and it had like a really fun, I don't know, the visual bar, like stealth mechanics in games. It is what it is. It's not the most deep stealth mechanic out there, but it's serviceable. That being said, if this game were about anything that wasn't a cat, would not work. Would not work. That's all I have to say about that.
Okay.
And number 10, did you put it on your list, Tavin?
No, God no.
Oh, there you go.
This game got knocked off a long time ago. Yeah, Stray's fine. It's fine. But a game that is also fine. Number 9, The Quarry. The Quarry is Supermassive's best game. Makers of Until Dawn and a bunch of other stuff that they do, the Man of Dawn series and so forth. I think The Quarry is a blast. I think it's I think all of its cast is actually fun and entertaining. I think the twists and turns of the narrative are actually interesting. And I like how layered the story is, and I was invested in everybody's storyline, and I wanted to see them all get to the end, and I didn't get to see that because I lost some people along the way, and that really sucked. I think it's got small mechanical issues that aren't clear, but that's the nature of these types of video games with the narrative based, choose your own adventure style, where they have so many different complexities or different like combinations of scenes that could play out that like some people may not even have the mechanics that I, was exposed to. And, some of those mechanics just were a little underbaked for that reason. Because, the main crux of that game is, seeing the different stuff and going on. And it's the first one of these that I can think of that I reached the end of the credits and I went, I kind of want to do that again. I would totally be down to roll through that experience one more time. So yeah, The Quarry, highly recommend it. If you're even a, passing fan of any type of game in this genre, I think it's definitely worth a play. Connor, number 9.
Number 9, a little nice little JRPG.
Tactics RPG.
Tactics RPG, that's the correct word. Triangle strategy. Unfortunately, a game I didn't get as much time as I wanted to on it because there is still more story and character moments to uncover. But the bits that I did play, it functions like a tactical RPG. It doesn't really do anything, to my knowledge, special. Now, granted, my experience in these types of games are limited, but the visuals are great. It has that pixel art style and the typical designed, more in-depth designed character models that pop up when they're talking, and slow methodical combat of placing your units around the map, whether it's be through flying on an eagle or riding on horseback or just being a swordsman on foot to get through levels that generally require you to make a path through enemies to get to complete it. Sometimes defense missions where you're holding an objective from being overrun by enemies, and it's just a fun little game. It's like I said, it doesn't do anything to really jump out or make it special. It's pretty by the books as far as those tactical RPGs go, with the typical systems you would associate with them. Run up, be right next to an opponent, hit them with your sword or whatever weapon you have. If you have a spear, you have 2 spaces that you can have between them. Bows and arrows give you a lot more space. Magic, of course, does the same thing. Very basic stuff, but a neat little game that did what it was saying it was going to do well in a fun way.
I forgot that came out this year.
Yeah, it did. I also play Triangle Strategy. It didn't make my list, but I did enjoy my time with it. My biggest issue with it is that it's cutscenes and dialogue just went on too long. I didn't get to play the game as much as I wanted to, like, because I did enjoy the mechanics, even though they are pretty run of the mill for the genre. Like, it's not doing anything new or fancy, but it was a blast. I liked the cast. There's just too much talking, and I would get bored and forget what I'm doing, and so on and so forth. I do think its most interesting mechanic is it's sort of like when the path is going to split and you have to convince your party to go one way or the other, and they all vote on the matter and they all go this way or that way. It's pretty easy to convince somebody to join your side, and have the agency to go that way, but you do have to think about it, and you have to run around the maps and explore and find evidence to unlock new dialogue options and so forth. I thought that was really fun and refreshing, and I really, really enjoyed that. But yeah, just too much talking. Phil, you're number 9.
My number 9 is Cult of the Lamb. Very fun little it's got some roguelite mechanics in there. It's a nice what do they call it? Base builder, right?
Yeah, base building or simulator type stuff.
Yeah, it's like a fun little thing. You're a little lamb and you start a cult for what's the one who dwells beneath or something like that?
Something like that.
And there's these 4 other like leaders that have their own followers, and they're like the ones that lock down your god or whatever. And yeah, you make a cult and you have all these cute little cuddly creatures that you can name and pretend they're your friends, and then make your friends eat poop, and it's great. It's very funny. It's a very funny game.
It's funny, yeah.
It's a very funny game. You can sacrifice your crew. You can upgrade them. You can send them out on adventures. It's a resource collector. You build other things. You can build like a foundry. You like. It's basically just your typical wood, stone. You use that to build stuff. You have money. There's like a money mechanic in there. Mm-hmm. You make beds for your whole little crew. There's like a what do you call it? Like a mood level that everyone's in. Like
you gotta keep them happy. It's it's just a basic
meter. Yeah.
Keep your cult happy. Yeah.
And so there's certain actions that you do that'll lower people's happiness. There's certain actions that you do that will raise people's happiness. Like if you don't have enough beds for all your cult leaders, that's going to lower not cult leaders, cult members. It's going to lower your happiness. If you like each one that you recruit,
or,
yes, yeah, if because they'll shit everywhere.
Yeah.
So you have to clean them up. And you can use that shit to feed your townsfolk.
Not a good idea to do that. Don't do that.
Some of them are into it.
Some of them are, yeah.
They'll get little attributes whenever you recruit them. That like some of them really hate murder. Some of them are super for murder. Some of them love poop. It was just a really fun time when I did play it. I thought it was really funny, and just had a great time with all the different aspects you can do for your cult. Like you can make them. I think mine was like, we love killing the elderly.
Damn.
They're
drain on resources, man. I get it.
It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that game.
Yeah, Cult of the Lamb is also on my list. I think this is one of the most charming games to come out this year. I had a lot of fun with it. I think its combat is pretty simple, but complex enough to have fun with. And the base building mechanics married with the roguelike mechanics I thought were fantastic. I had an absolute blast from stern to stern in this game. I have the platinum for this game. It was the most fun I had this year getting a platinum trophy, and it's a full hard recommend on it. It's cute, it's charming, the dialogue written is quirky and fun, and it's just a blast to hop in every so often and check up on my cult members and to run out into the field and get them resources and come back and see everybody shitting everywhere, and you got to clean up the shit, and then you make a porta potty for them so they don't shit anymore, and then it was just a absolute blast the whole way through. My number 8, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Borderlands as a franchise there are games that I like, but I so very rarely get to the end of them. And this one I not only got to the end of, Phil helped me out and carried me all the way to the platinum for this game. I thought Wonderlands was a blast. I think it's a nice breath of fresh air for this franchise, and I would like to see them experiment and do cool, crazy settings that maybe we're not used to in the world of Borderlands again. And just have more fun with the idea of a looter shooter. Because just going to Pandora again and again and again, or the other planets that show up, I think has gotten pretty stale. And the writing in this game is quite a big step up from Borderlands 3. I thought it was pretty fucking funny the whole way through. And it didn't drag on super long. It was fun enough to keep me to the end. There was a period of time this year where I did put it down, but I picked it right back up, and I was like, you know what, this game is good. I do like this game a lot. And Wonderlands, I think, is just a really exciting little chapter in the Borderlands saga that I think if you're a Borderlands fan, you should absolutely check out and play.
Yeah, Wonderlands is also on my list. I really liked the fact that, because back in Borderlands 2 they had that the Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep DLC, which is like their first delve into like the Dungeons and Dragons, or as they call it, Bunkers and Badasses thing for Borderlands. And I really like that they kind of went all out for this game and made a full game, not just a DLC. The writing is fantastic. Really charming side characters that I think Borderlands has been missing for a little bit, because Borderlands 3's writing was not good.
No.
To the point where when I played that game, I had the audio muted. I just didn't want to hear anyone talk. Jesus, and boy, do people talk in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, I really enjoyed Wonderlands. I think it's one of the it's definitely up in the top 3 for best Borderlands games.
Connor, number 8.
My number 8 pick is a game, unfortunately, another one like Triangle Strategy I didn't play enough of, but was still able to get high marks for me, which was Sifu. The really interesting fighting Game Awards, where you're on a typical revenge quest. Nothing really special there. But the thing where this really stands out is the game has an incredibly good-looking art style that never gets boring, never gets bland. The designs of everything are great as well. The enemies, your character, the bosses, which are another big thing about that game, which are great. Extremely well made. Some of the best bosses I played against this year. Up there with Elden Ring bosses, just in terms of their design of them and how you go and ram your head against them over and over and over again with its unique resurrection mechanic to eventually beat them. It's that typical boss design that just has made Elden Ring and Dark Souls so famous and well known, and it works here as well. Also, the interesting mechanic of it all being tied around to your age whenever you get beaten, and it going up and up and up, and you can have a dead run if you have too high of an age, because if you die too much by the time you get to the next level, well, you're stuck at that age unless you go back and beat the last boss, the last area, and you're able to get a lower age rating that at the end of that boss fight, so you can be a little bit better suited to fighting the next boss. And it just really helps feed into it, especially with its fast-paced, well-designed fighting system, which kind of reminds me of For Honor in the sense you're using a lot of the analog sticks to dodge and set up how you're going to attack, and then of course using the face buttons to just start beating the shit out of people in very fun and satisfying ways, using environmentals to take out enemies even more efficiently, which are very useful, especially when you're trying to get through with as little damage and with as low of an age as possible. It's a great game. Wish I played more of it. Maybe I'll hop back onto it later, but it was enough to put it in my number 8 spot.
Phil, number 8.
My number 8 is Multiverses.
Okay.
We already talked about that.
We talked about that, so I'm going to move on to my number 7. Marvel Snap. Marvel Snap is a mobile game that came out this year. It's a card game that is just an absolute fucking blast. You can catch my full review on the channel. There's a short version and a TikTok. Follow us on TikTok, 2 Penny Games. And I think Marvel Snap is some of the most fun I've had with a video game this year. It was just addicting. I could not get enough of it. I'm not even kidding when I said I was in front of my 60-inch TV, my PlayStation 5. I had whatever new game was out at the time, and I had paused that, put it to the side, and loaded up my phone. It was just throwing cards down in Marvel Snap. Marvel Snap, don't sleep on this game. It's a fucking good game. They do a really good job of keeping the monetization out of the core gameplay. Most of it is tied to just cosmetics with the cards themselves. And the seasons that have come around so far have all been entertaining since I've started playing them. I haven't bought into a battle pass since the first one, which was Carnage related, so Spider-Man related, or Miles Morales actually. And since then they've had Silver Surfer and Black Panther for the movie and so forth. And I thought about it for both of them, but I was like, I just don't care enough about these characters, and the powers that those cards had didn't interest me enough in the way I had my decks built out, to where I just didn't see the point. But I'm sure I'll go to regret that later on when somebody uses a Silver Surfer card against me at some point, and I'll be like, fuck, god damn it.
What is it, like $5 for the battle pass or what?
I forget. It might be 5, might be like 20 or something, but I don't know. But I put over 10 hours into this game, and all of those hours were well worth whatever I paid for the battle pass in here. I'll look it up here in a second. Wow, Connor, go ahead and give us your number 7.
Number 7 pick is a game I played very recently, which is, I always got to look at the name, Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion, a remake of the famous Crisis Core Final Fantasy game that was released back on the PS Vita. I always get that mixed up with the PSP. One of those handheld.
Yeah, you got it wrong, buddy. It's the PSP.
PSP.
Also, I'll say, well, we're totally wrong. It's not a remake. It's a remaster, but they put a lot of quality life changes into it.
I do like that for all of their new Final Fantasy games, they're putting the re thing in all of the different words there.
Remake, revival.
If only it made sense for Crisis Core here.
Rebirth.
It has nothing to do with the new story that they're telling. Anyways, Connor, go ahead. Talk to us about Crisis Core.
I get the bad part out of the way. The story, not the best. It's definitely... Sorry, Phil. One of the criticisms of Nomura, who also made Kingdom Hearts, is that the storytelling can kind of get really weird and meta.
No, you don't have to apologize. That guy's that guy's crazy.
Yeah,
but sometimes he's really good.
It just depends.
No, exactly. I fucking love Kingdom Hearts, but that game is batshit crazy.
Yeah, it is. Okay. Well,
Final Fantasy VII's great.
Now that we got that out of the way, the story doesn't really hit very well the villain's genesis, and doesn't really work. He recites poems all the time, which is just very annoying. The meat of this game is the fact that you're playing through a very important part of what makes Final Fantasy VII so great, which is Zack's storyline, and seeing how that ties into the rest of the game of Final Fantasy VII and subsequently Remake. But even despite that, the best parts of this game were the combat, which in typical new Final Fantasy fashion is going into this more action-adventure-oriented gameplay where you're running around, pressing your attack buttons and dodging and casting spells. Of course, it's not the exact same. It has its own nice little gameplay feel to it. It seems a little bit less refined than Remakes was, which is fine, because it's a different game, and it
also
has something
15 years ago.
Exactly. And they add this interesting slot mechanic into the game where it adds a bit of RNG to your battles, where you can get assists basically and summons at random points or special attributes, like not having to use any magic points, so you can cast spells infinitely for a short span of time. In addition to the gameplay, though, which, like I said, is very satisfying, I like the ending. I know Tavin, seeing him talk about it, because when we recorded a review for it, and Tavin hadn't beaten it yet. He has now. And following Discord messages, you would find that Tavin didn't really enjoy the story all that much, and never did. Now, I have to admit I did, because I thought the ending was pulled off very well, tying into Final Fantasy VII. But not enough to establish the whole story, but just a nice little way to put a little capstone on there to, lead to an enjoyable experience of a game that I probably won't play again. But,
Why'd they make the Moogles look like that, though?
They're ugly, bro. They're disgusting.
Also, could have just kept with the ones from like how they usually look and like how they look in Kingdom Hearts and stuff.
Yeah. I think our TikTok review of that is the funniest TikTok that we've got so far.
I still didn't see
up there. Oh, dude, it's good. You should watch it.
Yeah,
but yeah, just to talk about Crisis Core just for a second, it was so close to making my list. But yeah, I think the combat is a lot of fun. It's broken as fuck. You can really break that game. But overall, it's a lot of fun. The story, holy shit, is it bad? Like, I think it's really bad. And it never picks up, even when we start going over events that happen in Final Fantasy VII. This game was good enough to carry me through to the end and make me want to play Final Fantasy VII again, so I'm playing Final Fantasy VII again. And the events that they cover in this game, with voice acting and better graphics and camera angles that are, cinematic, these events are better told in the original game than they are in Reunion here. It's not great. I could have gone, in terms of narrative, I could have gone without all of it except for the last moments of the game that I think were cool and emotional, and I did enjoy those, even though I don't think they're that great, even on their own. But it was, as a fan of Final Fantasy VII, it was fun to see that. And there's a lot of good fan service within the game that I do enjoy. What are we on now? Phil,
My number 7.
Your number 7.
My number 7 is Sonic Frontiers. And my, oh my. That game, I love that game, man.
Yeah!
I love Sonic. Like, I'm not even doing a bit. I actually love this game. It's, as a Sonic fan who's played, like, all the other 3D Sonics and most of the 2D stuff, I think that the character writing and the character moments that are here between Sonic and his friends are some of the best that's ever been there in the entire series. Word. Like they bring up, because Tails is one of the most annoying characters in the game, because it's like, okay, he's really smart, but he always ends up in all this fucking bullshit. They like fix him, and he wants to do an adventure on his own now, and they even reference shit from the original Sonic Adventure in this game. It's fucking crazy. God, the amount of goosebumps that I got from this game, like just nostalgic goosebumps and like awesome moments, like they're just fucking epic, surprised me. I was genuinely surprised. I thought this game was going to be dog shit, terrible. Oh my god, was I wrong. This game was awesome. The Titan fights are some of the best boss fights in Sonic that Sonic's ever had. And also they have the soundtrack in this game is fucking phenomenal. Holy shit. It's just like, it's just the most it's not your typical like butt rock. Most Sonic fans will know what I'm talking about when I talk about butt rock. It's like hardcore fucking metal, and it's just like, oh my god, the marriage of Sonic being supersonic, zooming around fighting these giant fucking mechs, and just this fucking huge guitar riff, like, it's fucking sick. Oh my god, I love this game.
Fantastic. Here we go. Hold on.
Sonic game that did good recently.
I've discovered that
a good Sonic game.
I know.
It happened, guys.
Crazy.
Hold on.
Yeah, it's the best. It's the best Sonic game since Sonic Generations.
Hell yeah.
Easily.
I've discovered that shit I had is not working. So I have to find something. Damn you. This is Disney's fault, by the way. I just want to put that out there right now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Disney's fault.
Disney.
Copyright stuff?
Yeah, Disney copyrighted some stuff. So, moving on to my number 6. I have Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. I think Lego Star Wars is a lot of fun, man. And just an absolute blast, a cornucopia of content that I don't think I'll ever fully get my full like grasp around. I've been trying off and on all year to like make a dent in this platinum, and there's just so much to do in this game that I feel like I've only seen like a third of the content, and it's fucking huge. It's way more than I could have asked for.
Is there still no online co-op?
No, there's no online co-op, and I don't think that's ever coming. But yeah, in terms of like core gameplay, the cinematics and the fighting or combat of it all is all up to a level that we've never seen before in a Lego game, and I'm really, 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 really just in love with this game. Just a childish kid game, but like I can't wait to have kids of my own so I can sit them down and show them the experience that I had as a kid, and this is a perfect candidate for it. If you have kids, if you're around kids a lot, this is the perfect video game because it's family friendly and fun and simple enough for them to enjoy. It's a power fantasy that everyone can get their hands on, and it's just flashy enough. It's just mechanically complex enough. Some of the puzzles are just in depth enough to where even a full adult can have fun with this game. Is it the best gameplay you've ever seen? No. Is it the best stories told? Obviously not. It's Star Wars stories. But as a Star Wars fan and as a fan of some of these Lego games, I think this is the best one they've ever made.
You have to make your kids watch Star Wars first, though. Before that, I think.
I mean, sure, but like, then we can go and play it, and that'll be fun.
Yeah. Only issue with that is
why watch the movies if you can play the movies?
That is true, especially since most of them suck ass.
Connor, you're number 6.
Well, my number 6 is something that does not suck ass. Well, yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't suck ass. Which is, a fighting game called King of Fighters 15. Now, there's not. You know what fighting games are. Everyone knows what they are. It's kind of hard to just see. Shut up. It plays like a fighting game, but a fun one. The controls are responsive. It's got a very, very big cast of characters, which you have a team of 3 of them that you use rather than just a single one. So you have a lot more variety in the play styles that you get to dip your toes into, or you could do ones that are characters of the same archetype. You build your team as you see fit. And with constantly coming out with new characters, you really have so much options for you. And developing options. So if you have some other new character that pops up that you want to play, replace it with one of your old ones. It's a very fun fighting game, which unfortunately has bad online, which has killed the game a lot because you can't really connect to people with proper connections, which is kind of a necessary thing for fighting games nowadays since online play is such an integral part of it all. But that could get fixed later down the line. What is for certain is that it's an incredibly complex fighting game. Well, at least it's complex to me. I may have a baby brain when it comes to this kind of stuff. And you can probably tell by me not really going into the depths and mechanics of the game, because when it comes to actually explaining them, I suck, and I cannot do it. For some reason, my brain turns off when I'm describing Supermax combo cancels. I can't even remember the names of them, which is more their fault than my fault because of the weird titles given to how you do some of the moves. But if you're looking to get into fighting games, it's not a bad one to start. It's a fun one, and it's not too high execution. Not like some of those older fighting games you can get your hands on, like King of Fighters 13, for example. Just a fun game that I played for only so little because of that online issue. But the fun that I had with it makes it up to number 6.
King of Fighters. That's what Terry's from, right?
Yes, that's one of my characters I play. He's very fun. Power away!
Jesus Christ.
Star Wolf!
Phil, you're number 6.
My number 6 is Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, and we've already covered that one.
There we go.
Next.
So my number 5 is Neon White. Neon White is a fucking blast, man. Cool art style, fun gameplay and mechanics. It's just got the most atrocious and annoying and ear-grating dialogue I've ever heard in a video game, and boy, oh boy, do these characters like to talk. But I had an absolute blast with you gentlemen running through the levels and getting better times and getting new records broken and finding new and creative solutions to find the end of the level, and to the point to where like it could be any random weekend someone be like, hey man, you free? And if I'm free, I'll be like, yeah, what's up? And then hey, let's hop into Neon White and let's tackle these 5 levels and just you and me go neck and neck for it. And I'll be like, fuck yeah, man, let's go at any point. Neon White is an absolute blast. It came to consoles a little later after we played it. I think it was already on Switch when we played it, but who wants to play a game on Switch?
Yeah.
And Phil hit the chat and he was like, hey man, it's on PlayStation. And I was like, I like this game, but I can already tell that trophy list is going to be a pain in the ass, and I'm cool.
I really want to look into it.
Yeah,
I really want to look into it.
That's not. I don't want to do that to this game. Where like I'll just get annoyed at it at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Neon White is a blast.
Yeah, I get it. I found the dialogue pretty funny. I know it wasn't good. Not gonna defend it. Not gonna say it. I just thought it was pretty funny the way it was done.
Oh, you know what? Also for Neon White, I feel like it's gonna be really hard to play that game with a controller.
Yeah, actually, it's
shit.
a shooter centric game, and when you're trying to get things as quick as possible,
Yeah.
controllers aren't going to be as tight. So yeah, doing a trophy list with that comparatively to a mouse and keyboard, maybe you're better off skipping that one like Tavin already has.
Maybe I will. I haven't bought it yet, so
Yeah, but fun shooting, fun way to get to those levels. Unfortunately, it's not too much of a complex game that I could talk about more in depth than Tavin just already did. Which means that we're going to go on to Phil's next game because my number 5 pick is Neon White.
There we go. Phil, number 5.
My number 5 is Pokemon Legends Arceus. And man, oh man, is this a great Pokemon game? Because it's such a fresh fresh addition to like the formula, you know. Pokemon, you know, you go on an adventure, you catch you get your starter, you go out and you want to catch them all, you want to be the champion. That's not what this game is. This game is you show up in the past, and you basically are a Pokemon researcher, and you're trying to learn everything you can about Pokemon, and you're basically trying to create the very first Pokedex. And God, it's just so cool. There's something so satisfying about being a Pokemon fan and going through a Pokemon game and seeing a Pokemon in front of you and just be like, yeah, I'll throw a ball at that. Okay, cool, I caught it. Rather than having to actually initiate battle. Holy crap. There's something so satisfying about it. It's like, oh, I like that. Woo! Throw a ball at it. God, it's so cool. And, you know, very, very cool quality of life stuff. You can release multiple Pokemon at once, which for some reason, I'll get into that later, actually. There's so many things in this game that are just phenomenal quality of life increases and different shakeups of the usual formula. And it's cool to see all these characters that are basically ancestors to characters we've already seen in other Pokemon games. It was a fun time. It was very fun up until another game came out that took my time.
There we go.
Wonder.
Moving on to number 4s. My number 4 is Call to the Lamb. Talked about it already, so we can move right along to Connor's number 4 here.
My number 4 pick is, to no one's surprise, Gundam Evolution.
No one's surprised?
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this this Overwatch clone.
That's a fun game.
It is a fun game. Gundam Overwatch is the way to call it, name to call it. But you know, as a person who has some experience with Gundam, big fan of anime, so it's kind of hard to escape that in the community because you know it's such an integral part to that.
Iron Blooded Orphans, baby.
Cool. Exactly, very good show. That's one I actually have watched. But you know, getting in giant mechs. I mean, Titanfall 2, it was fun. This one is fun as well. And with the diverse ways that you can play, you know, different mechs that have completely different weapons attached to them, different abilities, typical Overwatch type stuff, with kind of blandly designed maps. Which is unfortunate, but overall, when you have the core gameplay and core design of the mechs really come forward to be a very fun multiplayer game that I did sink many hours into, and it was just casual play. You know, I never felt like I was so like, oh, I gotta try hard on this, and this is bullshit. I just was able to have a nice experience, and I unfortunately haven't picked it up in the past couple of months, or the past month, I should say, which I really want to get to it, because unfortunately it has died down a lot in terms of the player count in the game. But at its core, it's a fun, you know, hero mech shooter that I wish could get more attention. Maybe it'll have a resurgence at some point. It would most certainly deserve it in my eyes.
There we go. Phil, before we get into our honorable mentions, give me your number 4.
My number 4, yeah. So this is gonna confuse you, okay? Because it's Pokemon Scarlet.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So, no, here's the thing, though. So, all the quality of life increases that were in Legends Arceus, most of them are here in Pokemon Scarlet. The only thing that they took out, one of them, sure, I can kind of see why they do it. It's kind of a useless drawback. And one of them just makes me angry that they took out. That first thing that's kind of, you know, you can't just chuck a ball at a Pokemon anymore. Not like in Legends Arceus. You have to actually initiate battle, which, you know, sure. I don't see why you had to take that out, but okay, Game Freak. Second thing that's just annoying, you can't release multiple Pokemon at once. Like, why would you add that in and take it out? I have to go through, because especially for a lot of people when they play Pokemon, they're going for shiny, so they'll like breed a bunch of different Pokemon, and you don't want to keep all those Pokemon held up in your boxes. You want to get rid of those. So instead of making me go through every single menu in my PC box, releasing every single Pokemon individually over and over and over and over and over. Just let me do it all at once, like I could in Legends Arceus. Okay, that's the only gripe that I really have as far as like gameplay goes. There's the obvious. There's the visual bugs. There's the frame struggle. It doesn't run very well. But this game, it's one of the best Pokemon games there is. It just there's that's just flat out. I don't care who you are, it's true. This is the writing in this game for the first time in forever. It's really good. A lot of the characters are really cool. The stories that you go through for all these different characters is really fun. The only like why is there no voice acting in this game? Why do these games not have voice acting? Like there's so many things.
They did at some point, didn't they?
In the mainline Pokemon series, there is no voice acting.
Oh, okay, never mind.
I don't know. It's just it baffles me. But this being such a good Pokemon game, and like I said in the review, another baby step for Pokemon. Like it's fantastic. It's good, but you need to take more than baby steps. Game Freak.
Well, we might get more than baby steps because this is the first time that a game came out. People criticized it, and Nintendo actually responded and went, "Hey, we hear you. We'll try and fix it." Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for a quick break from the focused, breakdowns of all these games, and we're just gonna throw out some quick honorable mentions for games that we either played this year and they couldn't make the list because they didn't come out this year, or they just didn't make the list for other reasons, so on and so forth. So we've each got 3 honorable mentions. My first is going to be Vampire Survivors, mostly just because I haven't had enough time with the game. I've put quite a bit of time into it in my limited time that I have played it, but there's just so much content in the game that I don't feel comfortable giving it a full review or putting it on my list yet. But Vampire Survivors is a lot of fun. Definitely everybody check it out. I'm playing it on mobile. It's a lot of fun. Last of Us Part 1, the remake. Last of Us is The Last of Us, so The Last of Us is great, and you should play it. And if you've never played it, this is the best way to play it. Absolutely play this game. Some of the change-ups were fun and exciting, and I had a good time. And then, lastly, what would have probably been my game of the year, except for what is my actual game of the year, and the fact that it didn't come out this year, was Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Coming off of Elden Ring, which didn't work out for me too well, I hopped into Sekiro because it was the one From Software game that I was like, hey, I liked that. I could see myself playing that. I jumped in, fucking loved it. Great combat, great fun story, great visuals. From Software's best game, in my opinion. Connor, give me your honorable mentions.
First honorable mention is an older game, 2004 game, I think, called Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. Something that I was looking forward to being chosen for this month's game of the year, game of the book club, game club.
We'll get to that.
But yeah, we'll get to that. Oh,
Batman Arkham Asylum. I know, spoilers. Batman Arkham Asylum review coming in, I don't know, 30 minutes.
Oh, wait a second. We already did that. So
I know, it's confusing times.
Time travel.
Yeah. But yeah, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines has a variety of ways to go through the game with the numerous classes that you have the option to choose from, with a very rich setting, rich story, rich characters that is able to give you a short game, but one that is packed with such memorable bits and just a memorable experience overall that I think it's one of the best games I've played recently. Seriously, a great game. Another honorable mention is Chivalry 2. After playing the old Chivalry game back on Xbox, on PS4, Xbox 360, one of those old consoles.
PS4.
Relatively old, yeah. It's similar to a game like Mordhau, where you get a weapon and you go and you bash people around on a field with it. And it's fun. It's simple for anyone to jump into and play, so it's got a very low bar to actually know what you're doing in that game. And fighting just in a wide open field or on street corners in castles, bashing people's brains open with warhammers and whatnot. It's a good old fun time. Be high up in my top 10 game of the year if it was if I played it when it came out. Finally, other honorable mention is Multiverses, which just barely missed the cut. It's a fun little Smash Bros. Like game that does it better than Nickelodeon All-Stars did, or any other game that's not Smash Bros. So it gave me enough enjoyment for me to say it's an honorable mention of the year.
It is a fun romp.
Mm-hmm.
Phil.
My honorable mentions. We got Mario Party as one of them. I played a lot of multiplayer games with just me and Ash, or just me and like her family, just like shooting the shit around the holidays. And Mario Party is, it's great. It's bullshit and it's great. Like, you got I mean, you got all the mini games, which, you got your mini game star. You get mainly the bullshit part is the dumb luck and the bonus stars. And, you can play an entire game of Mario Party and then someone will get 2 random bonus stars and beat you and be leading yeah, it's frustrating, but it's a great game. Mario Party is fun. I'm the best button masher there is. So
This is true. I've seen it.
Second honorable mention, I'm going to go and say Overcooked.
Oh.
Overcooked is another little game I played with Ash a lot.
The first one?
Yeah. No, I think we played Overcooked too.
Oh, okay. Both great.
But it was the same general idea, There's just more, I think, in Overcooked too. Just that game breaks my brain. Holy crap! Because there's just so much going on at once. Like even when you have a co-op partner to like split duties up with, but when you get to like moving platforms and stuff falling through the cracks and just, I feel like I'm gonna pass out playing that game, like because the mental gymnastics you have to go through in your head trying to put all that shit together is crazy.
Just get better stuff.
Yeah, right. And then my final honorable mention is going to be the game of the year at the Game Awards last year. It Takes Two. I played through that early this year with Ash, my girlfriend, and we played through that. And I think I stand by the fact that if I had played that game last year, it would have at least been in my top 3. That game was a fantastic time. It was a great story about relationships and the importance of what do they say in the game? It's cooperation. And it's so great. I love that game. Very funny also.
Okay.
And Moon Baboon, dude, it's a fucking monkey that with an astronaut suit and he flies a spaceship. He's great.
So
he sounds like Idris Elba.
Now, moving in to the big 3, gentlemen, should I here, let me bounce this idea off of you. At the beginning of the episode, I had you write down what you thought our collective top 3 games were. If it wasn't clear, I also meant for you to put those in order. So what do you think is number 1, and what do you think is number 2, number 3? Yeah. Should you guys reveal those now, or should we wait until the end?
I think that's like the secondary thing. I think we should do the
get through our personal top 3s next. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. Well, then my number 3 is Sifu. I think Sifu has the best combat that's come out this year, which is insane because there were a couple other games with some really solid combat, but especially after playing games like the Callisto Protocol, it really, thinking back and looking back and even listening to our review of it when it came out, I'm a lot more forgiving for all of the missteps that Sifu has. Its tutorial system is shit. Its signposting is shit. Its combat system is really good and really refined, but it's just not refined enough to put it on that upper echelon like games like Sekiro is. But I had an absolute blast, and I'm sure it would take, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes to remind myself of all those mechanics and how to flow through that game and get myself back into shape in that game, which I think is a great sign of a great combat system. It's fun, it's exciting, it's thrilling, it's intense, and Connor mentioned it earlier, but the art style, the way that the art style continues to evolve from level to level is fantastic. Just a beautiful game, absolutely, totally underrated at the Game Awards, and I think underplayed throughout the entire year. Connor, well, you're number 3, my friend.
I raise you Sifu's best combat gameplay, to the actual best combat gameplay of the year, which is my number 3 pick, Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin. When I was thinking, I surprised myself.
I cannot believe this was. I saw his list and I was shook. I was like, really?
I was not expecting this to be on anyone's lists,
but it's on mine. So here's what happened, right? What? Yeah,
that's Zach.
This is a Zach joke. I forgot to do this joke when he was talking about Crisis Core, but here I am.
Well, it'll bring up your leg power to the max. Unfortunately, you don't do that in Stranger of Paradise. You just use a wide variety of weapons that are designated to certain classes, which you constantly unlock by using them to create this super in-depth combat system that allows you to change to different styles of gameplay, similar to like Devil May Cry, but with a lot more difference in how those play out. You can have gauntlets that you imbue with elemental powers like electricity, fire. Then you switch over to the like the samurai class where you have a katana and you're able to give large, sweeping quick draw strikes that are able to bring down opponents' health bars, stagger bar up tremendously. Then you also have abilities like the Dragoon, the classic Final Fantasy class where you are able to jump high up into the air and come crashing down onto your enemy. And that magic, all these things you could switch to on a fly, which led to this amazing combat system that was the best of the year, which is its strong point. Because going back to Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, it's very similarly lacking a good story. It's not very well written. The dialogue's weird. And it does get into that metaphysical stuff again, like Kingdom Hearts, where chaos. I'm gonna just stuff chaos. Chaos cannot be beat. It's not. You can't beat chaos. And that aside, the main character Jack was such a powerful force in gaming, who was able to bypass story, able to bypass character progression for the sole sake of only caring about destroying chaos. And it actually had, despite the story's pitfalls, had a very satisfying ending, which unfortunately kind of leads me to think if they actually spent more time with the writing, they could have had a really just all-around solid game on their hands. But that combat is great. And the graphics of the game itself are also good, though the level designs are kind of barren and are really just there to, give you enemy encounters and, funnel you to the boss, which the boss fights are also similarly very fun to fight against, as well as the normal enemies are. It's a fantastic combat system that anyone would have enjoyment playing. It is amazing. Jack is one of the best protagonists of all time, and the best protagonist of the year, beating even the likes of the well-written Kratos, who's still pathetic and sad. We're not obsessed with killing chaos.
Still pathetic and sad.
You're here, buddy.
The bit's going too far.
There you go.
It also uses the best use of Frank Sinatra in a video game with My Way.
All right, so what's your actual number 3 pick, or?
It's Stranger of Paradise. Dude.
No, so what's your actual?
Stranger of Paradise. Yeah, it's amazing. The gameplay on its own is that good, but I just the more I looked at that game, when I was looking back at all the games I played this year, it kept popping into my head. I was like, oh, Neon White's better than it, though. I'm going to give that number 4, number 3. But then I hesitated. I was like, what, Stranger of Paradise? I played that a lot, and I had a lot of fun memories playing that game. And I found out what games I played the most on PlayStation over the years, over the course of the year. It was number 2, barely edging out God of War Ragnarok. And
wow,
that kind of started me thinking, man, I sunk a lot of hours into this game and never had an issue with doing that. I had enjoyed my entire experience.
There you go.
So you're saying quantity over quality.
Quality of combat systems over the lack of quality of other aspects of the game.
Gameplay is king, man. Gameplay is king.
It is.
It's true.
Phil, number 3.
My number 3 is a little game that we all played called Neon White.
Hell yeah.
Neon White. Oh man, what can I say that hasn't already been said, man? We talked about it in our review. We talked about it in this fucking top 10 with Connor. And I think Tavin also, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have it?
Yeah, it's in there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Me and Connor had it at the same level, both at number 5.
Oh, okay. Oh my god, dude. How is this like? They say it's a single player game. We say it every time we talk about it, but it's a multiplayer game, man. Like, just hop on a Discord call with your friends and just it's such a good time. Like, it's such a good hang out with your friends, have a drink, and just go through all these fucking levels with, like there would be so many moments where I would be playing at home, Tavin's at school like a loser or something, and I'll just be like, I'll text him the name of a level, and then he'll be like, fuck. and then dude, just the back and forth that we all had. God, what a fucking blast this game is.
Experience.
I think I made it maybe hour and a half, 2 hours before I started skipping through the dialogue, if not sooner. like Tavin said earlier, dialogue is not it. But like also Tavin just said, gameplay is king.
Yeah, baby.
This game is, oh my god, does it fuck? Holy shit. It is good.
There we go.
Fucking oof. Oh man, dude, it's my level. You're playing my level.
It is. I'm playing it very poorly because this was my first hour of the game.
God
but yeah.
Damn. What a game.
Okay, and then are you guys seeing the game footage? I forgot that I was showing you.
Yeah, I can see the game footage.
Oh, okay, cool. My number 2 is a little game called God of War Ragnarok. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my God.
I already know what it is.
My number 2 is Power Wash Simulator.
Yup, I fucking called it. Me and Connor were in the waiting room like before we did the game club review before this, and oh my god, I was like, that's gonna be his number 2. I already knew it.
Absolutely, it is. Power Wash Simulator is, I think I said before I gave it to something, but Power Wash Simulator is like it's the one game where I played this year that every time I put it down, I was constantly thinking about it. I was constantly wanting to come back to Power Wash Simulator. I was constantly wanting to, finish cleaning off the playground, finish cleaning off the fire station, finish cleaning off whatever level I was in at the time. It's the one game I played where I started playing, maybe it was 6 o'clock in the afternoon. I played for about 15 minutes, looked at the clock again, and it was past midnight. It's the only game this year that I was like, fuck, man, I just lost hours of my life to this, and I didn't even mean to do it. It's the most relaxing and just throw on a podcast, crack open a beer, and fucking chill the fuck out, man. It annoyed the shit out of me that Phil throughout the entire year was just mocking me for this, and then didn't even have the fucking balls to download it. It's on Game Pass, motherfucker. Just go play it. It's easily one of the best games this year, completely unrepresented in the Game Awards, which I think is a fucking crime. This game is
I will
awesome.
say that's ridiculous.
No. What's ridiculous is that Stranger of Paradise was not in the Game Awards in any capacity whatsoever. Ridiculous.
No. I mean, best narrative, you know what I'm saying? Best narrative. No, seriously, guys, Power Wash Simulator is one of my favorite games this year. And it's one of my favorite games that I've played in a long time. So much so that when you two sent me your lists, and I knew Power Wash wasn't going to be on it, but my girlfriend and my mom asked, hey, where's Power Wash on their lists? Because I kept talking about it and praising it all year, that I was like, guys, they didn't even give it a chance. They didn't even try. They wouldn't even
Connor tried it, didn't he?
No, both of you were fucking scum who just refused to listen to me and say, man, if you want something to chill out and just hang out with, and girlfriend is working beside me and I just want to engage in conversation with her, but sure, fuck it, let me hear.
You know what that is for me?
Great time.
That just getting trophies.
I mean, yeah, but sometimes you got to pay attention to a trophy. You got to pull up a guide. It's just not. It's not the same. Where this one, turn your brain off, fucking wash the dirt off. You know what I'm saying?
The way you describe that is how I felt about Minecraft when I first got my hands on it, years ago.
Yeah. So a similar idea. A similar idea, definitely. But yeah, I love Power Wash Simulator. It's never leaving my PC. I'm keeping it right there. And it just an absolute blast. Where am I going for this? I forget the order in which this made sense. So, Connor, give me your number 2.
My number 2 pick is a great game, a fantastic game, a masterpiece of a game, which is God of War Ragnarok. We've talked about it at length. Many other people have talked about it at length. It's one of the biggest games of the year with good reason. It perfectly melds amazing story with very rich, diverse characters that constantly build on itself, not only from past God of War titles, going all the way back to the first one made in the 2000s, but especially 2018, with the relationship between Kratos and Atreus still being being at center stage in this entire plot, but with way more content added, way more moving parts, interesting characters that went in directions like the Aesir gods I never expected them to go, and also melding it with combat, with a fun combat that had lots of it. So some people that have issues with a lot of these story-centric games not having enough gameplay will find themselves having a good time, just like the old God of War, because there's tons of it, and there's tons of story. It is perfectly balanced in all things that it does, and even though it doesn't do anything, like the combat's not blow your mind crazy, or even the stories themselves aren't blow your mind. I've never seen this before in my life. It's just written masterfully. It plays masterfully. It looks like a piece of art. It looks great. The audio design's great. Well, the audio design, the music is great. The graphics are great. I'm assuming we'll have a lot more to say about it here in a little bit. So I love it. It's a great game.
Phil, number 2.
My number 2 is Elden Ring. Man, this game for me, ever since I had my hands on it back in February, I could swear this was going to be my game of the year. It's like, oh my god, it's incredible. Holy shit. It's Elden Ring. It's my first From Software game that I've ever played. And I'm one of those guys, that got on the train, that people what?
Bandwagon bitch.
Shut up. No, it was before people were even talking about it. Like sure, people were like talking about it. Oh, Elden Ring's out. I think it was within like the first couple days that I like scooped it up and started playing it. It was before like everyone was like, "What?
Bandwagon.
What? Whatever."
This game was always going to have this impact. The hype that was leading into this game was that. But anyways, I'm cutting you off and I'm going to let you go.
It's just the fact that I'm a Soulsborne fan now. Like Elden Ring is it's fantastic. Holy shit! Like just the scale of this game, like you start off and you're this little bitch. You can barely do anything, and I feel like I was my character. I started off, I was a little bitch. I couldn't do anything, and then I found the rune farm.
Yep, all uphill from there.
Oh, dude! Oh, what a game! Holy shit! Just I think when I first started, I was playing as a Vanguard, and then it's like the super armored class with like the 2 swords, and then I was like, "Fuck this! I don't like this. Let me try Samurai." Then I discovered Bleed.
Oh God!
And Bleed is the best system in Elden Ring. It is so good. Oh, that game's so sad. God! And then I beat that first boss on in Farum Azula. I think it's the Beastman of Farum Azula. Not of Farum Azula. It's in that cave, in that first opening area. Oh, I felt so good. I think it took me like 3 tries. God, I felt so good. I felt like a little baby, and I took my first steps. And what a game! What a fucking game Elden Ring was.
Pretty good.
God damn.
And then while we're here, Connor, go ahead, give us your number 1.
My number 1 pick of Game of the Year 2022 is Elden Ring from Software. But yeah, like Phil said, as someone who's played Souls games for a very long time, since around Dark Souls 2, when that was coming out, that's when I jumped on. It has the gameplay that you usually associate with those Dark Souls games, but refined to a T that hadn't been seen yet before. With weapon arts, with being able to ride and have mounted combat, to instituting some of the best bosses in Souls. I mean, the mainstay bosses every single time delivered for me. There's almost no bad boss in this game. There are some, a lot of them being more the optional ones, which,
Yeah, it's just the ones where they have multiple of like the same guy that does like a slightly different thing. Yeah, those are the only ones that miss.
It had caveats of things like that, but those bosses you found through exploration, which has, Elden Ring has one of the best exploration aspects in the game since Breath of the Wild. Being able to travel hither and thither, going to these different lands that are, decayed by rots and giant mushrooms and fungal growth, to being in the sky in the middle of a storm surrounded by dragons, and going through these giant castles, like Stormvale Castle, the opening area.
Oh yeah.
You just every single area just brought something new to the table and just kind of made you. It would let you sit there and appreciate just the landscape, and knowing that there's just bits and baubles all throughout that hidden, whether it be weapons, whether it be quest lines, and the characters associated with them, which I found to be very fun, being a longtime Souls fan who really enjoys that, just randomly encountering people across the land and continuing their story progress as you go on.
My God, is this game beautiful too?
It's a beautiful game. It won Best Art Direction. It did, yes, it did. It did.
Do you remember that feeling that you got? Do you remember that feeling you got whenever you were first heading east, and then you ran into the fucking red sky?
Yeah, where am I now? I don't
Holy
know where
shit! I was like, am I supposed to be here?
Yeah,
Oh
you were,
God.
at least I wasn't at the time. And little did we know, we had just entered into the Florida landscape, as everyone called it.
Ohio.
Ohio. Sorry, Ohio's way worse. Florida at least has like redeeming qualities. It's not.
No,
yeah,
Florida.
Ohio.
Florida is the swampy area that's like further down south.
Yes, actually, all humid, and mucky.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just,
No, the big red scarlet rot area. That's Ohio.
yeah, that's Ohio. But once again, this is another game like God of War Ragnarok where it's gotten so much attention this year that pretty much every aspect has been covered to death. And it provides a complete package that overrides any other game that I played this year or even last year. I absolutely love it, and I'm just waiting for the time for me to jump back into it and maybe start new DLC when it comes out. Who knows? But we'll play this game many times before my my inevitable death.
I can see myself picking back up. Yeah.
Yeah, I will.
I'm sure I'm going to have to
12
give it
hours.
another try at some point, especially with Game Club.
Yep.
Yeah, Elden Ring just didn't click for me. But you know what did click for me is my number one game, God of War Ragnarok. I've been on record, I believe, somewhere in our lineage of podcasts here, saying that video games this year were fine. In general, they were okay. I don't think this is a great year for games. I thought a lot of the best games either got delayed out into next year or came out in previous years before this. God of War Ragnarok is the exception to that. God of War Ragnarok is one of the best video games ever made. This is a landmark title. Connor... Yeah. Connor was alluding to it, but I think this is the best symbiosis between gameplay and narrative we've ever seen in video games, where the narrative doesn't overstay its welcome. It doesn't overindulge on the combat, but the combat doesn't take center stage either. It's a perfect 1-2 balance for whatever you're into. God of War Ragnarok will satisfy you. In-depth combat that's in-depth enough and complex enough for you to play around and have fun with that, but still, be generalized and just have a basic build and have that carry you all the way to the end and still have fun with that. There's reasons to still use the equipment that you have at the very beginning of the game at the end of the game. I may not agree with those reasons, but there's reasons to use it, I think I think God of War Ragnarok cements Kratos as the best video game character of all time, and it launches him so far ahead that everyone else wishes they could be even
best
in
written
the same
for sure,
atmosphere as him. It's ridiculous. I think Ragnarok will for a long time be the gold standard of just what a video game can be. And while it's personally not my favorite video game of all time, it's without a doubt the most valid pick in anybody's list ever to be the best or in that upper echelon of games. I don't think a single person can play this game, look at this game, experience this game, and say it's not a masterpiece. Phil.
No, my number one is also God of War Ragnarok. God, I just don't have words. What a fucking game! This is the game. I was not expecting this game to overthrow Elden Ring for me because, like I said when I was talking about Elden Ring, for the longest time since February, from I think I put it on number one in March or April. Probably close to the time I platinumed it. Which I forgot to mention, I did platinum that game this year, Elden Ring. I was not expecting it to be overthrown. And then I played God of War Ragnarok, and I hit the credits in that game, and I don't want to go into spoilers. We already had a spoiler cast and everything, but in case someone is just watching this, I don't want to go into it, but just, oh my God. Like, Tavin already said it. Kratos is the best written video game character of all time. It's going to be really hard. People have to be off their shit to try to be better than Kratos. They have to. Oh, I don't even know. I don't even fucking know. This game is fucking phenomenal. Play it if you haven't. Fucking play it. Buy a PS5 and fucking play it.
Yep.
And you don't even need a PS5. You can play it on
Get a
PS4.
baby.
It'll run like shit, but
No, it runs damn near the same.
okay. Well, your PS4 will be screaming at you.
They will.
We'll be doing that.
You're tortured.
him.
Yeah.
It'll be begging for mercy.
I mean, looking ahead at next year's games, I think next year's list looks like a banger of a fucking year between Resident Evil, between Spider-Man, between hopefully Final Fantasy VII. We got Zelda. We've got a
Hogwarts
bunch.
Legacy.
Hogwarts Legacy, Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Like, there's a lot of great looking games coming out next year, and I don't think any of them are going to touch this game.
No.
Like, this game was everything I could have fucking wished for. It solved it solved almost every small issue that I had with the last one, with the exception of somehow the UI is even worse. And I still don't. When I get down and dirty with the systems and I get real nitty gritty with how the systems work, I don't like how they work in this game. It's really annoying that it's just your one level that matters. Everything else can fall to the wayside, and it just doesn't. It doesn't.
I think
matter as much as everything else.
it matters more like on higher difficulties.
Probably, but this is not a game that I want to play on higher difficulties because the combat system is, or the systems are laid out this way. I'm like, that sounds not fun.
Yeah, for me, I still stand by my main gripe is the fact that I can't fast travel like wherever I want.
Fair. Connor, any final words you got going on for?
That being,
God? I know
sorry,
you already talked about it. But
let me clarify. I can't initiate fast travel wherever I want. I understand that I can't fast travel anywhere on the map, like let me initiate fast travel from wherever I am.
This might be a little bit too much of an in-depth thing, but it was in my experience, it was probably the most subversive game that I've ever played in regards to an aspect of its plot, which, you know, when a game is able to in a way predict you into knowing what's going to happen and then completely taking the rug out from under you, you know, not many games do that.
Oh yeah, this game has a couple massive rug pulls. Like it's crazy.
It does, yeah, and
I don't know what you're talking about.
We'll talk after it.
Like it subverses your expectations. Like we all had our own theories as to like what this story was going to do, and I think we were all genuinely surprised at least once, if not more time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you still wondering what we're talking about, Sam?
Yeah, a little bit. This game doesn't have like twists that floored me or anything, but there were definitely like subversions that I went, oh shit, we're doing this now. That's cool. So just in that there is several of those and they are all impactful. Yeah, sure, I'm into that. But yeah, I don't know. We can talk about it later though. All right, gentlemen.
Let's hit it.
Compiled a list, or I put the data, I put the numbers to the rankings. I have a full list. Do you want? I think the way we should do this is you gentlemen give me what you think the top 3 collective games are, from what you put at the beginning of the episode. Don't change them, Connor.
I've not changed it.
Better not be changing them, little boy. No,
I'm not a scumbag.
There you go. I believe them when they say that. And then I can go ahead and give you the full list after that. But go ahead, Connor. Give me what you think our collective top 3 games are.
You know what?
Are we going from 3, 2, 1 or 1, 2, 3?
3, 2, 1.
Okay.
I was wrong about my number 1 and 2 picks. And the worst part was I knew I shouldn't. I knew what the answer was. But for some reason, my mind wasn't working when I did it. But as I said, I didn't change it.
There you go.
But I recognized my mistake, which is number 3 pick. Or I can go through all of them, right? We're not doing bit.
Yeah, do all 3. Do all 3.
3, Neon White. I knew that was going to be on all our lists. It was. Different placements. 2, this is where my error begins. God of War Ragnarok, which and then Elden Ring. Because I was like, Phil, because I couldn't remember at the time if Phil voted for Elden Ring during the Video Game Awards and but said that Ragnarok was going to win, when it turns out that's what you did, Tavin, and he doubled down on Ragnarok. And I mixed that up. And then afterward, I was talking to Phil about this before you came on. And I said, oh, yeah, that's how it worked out. But even with that knowledge, knowing that he thought God of War Ragnarok was the better game, I still put Elden Ring at number 1, thinking he's going to put it as number 1, even though he told me that it probably wasn't going to.
Connor, you knew it wasn't on my list, which would automatically drop it down several points.
Yeah, but I was like, it's going to be number 1 pick. But no.
Phil.
Okay, we're doing 3, 2, 1, yeah?
3, 2, 1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, number 3 is Elden Ring. Number 2 is Neon White. And number 1 is God of War.
Phil, you nailed it right on the head, buddy. Number 3 is Elden Ring. Number 2 is Neon White. Number 1 is God of War Ragnarok. Now, just for funsies to put all the numbers out there, I put 10 entries on the collective list, but there's a lot of ties. And I didn't, like, if they tied for number 5, I didn't put it at 5 and 6. I just put both games at 5. So really, there's like 15 games in this list or something like that. But, you know, it just is what it is. So, at number 10, it is a tie between Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII and Marvel's Snap at 4 points. Number 9 is King of Fighters and Lego Star Wars at 5 points. Number 8 is Pokemon Legends Arceus. Number 7 is Gundam Evolution and Pokemon Scarlet. Number 6, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands tied with Strangers of Paradise at number 8. Connor, you fucking carry. There were 2 entries for Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, and you put Strangers of Paradise on the same level.
Yeah.
You're a fucking madman.
Oh, you nutcase.
Number 5 is a tie between Power Wash Simulator and Cult of the Lamb at 9 points. And then here we go with the goods. Number 4, Sifu at 11 points. By the way, Phil, Sifu not being on your list, but Stray being on your list, you're a heathen.
Okay, relax.
You're a disgusting human being.
I enjoyed Sifu, okay?
You put 2 Pokemon games on your list, and one was broken.
Yes!
Tavin, he's got cats in his house. He's a fucking cat lover.
I own cats. I'm a cat dad.
That's not a good enough reason. The game wasn't that good. Number 3 is Elden Ring at 19 points. And number 2 is Neon White at 20 points. It's a 1 point difference between Elden Ring and Neon White. And then number 1 is God of War Ragnarok at a huge 29 point difference. The difference between 1 and 2 is the largest jump in points of any other jump.
Let me guess. So number 1 gives it 10 points? And then
number 1 was 10 points down, and then number 10 was 1. Fill in the gaps from there with your human brains.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for our 2022 Game of the Year conversation. We gave you our personal lists. We gave you our collective list all together. We gave you some honorable mentions. It was all a good time. Overall, I think...
I always love these episodes.
Yeah, these are great little canon episodes. I love to revisit these episodes every once in a while and be like, oh, that's what I thought about that game at that time. That's interesting. Anyways, we are about to jump right into our 2-penny game club review of Batman Arkham Asylum. Of course, if you're a keen-eyed viewer, already saw the Batman Arkham Asylum review go live at youtube.com/2pennygames yesterday. However, we do like to stick it at the end of the Gamescast whenever it comes up, and that is what we've been playing. So we're going to go in, jump in, and review that right now. So stick around for that. But until next time, have a great time. And gentlemen, say goodbye to the people.
Hey, I'll see you in like less than a minute.
It'll be like 2 seconds right there.
I'll say hi. It'll be like I hadn't said hi yet.
3, 2, 1. What's poppin', players? Welcome back to a 2-penny games 2-penny game club review. This time for Batman Arkham Asylum. At the jump of the episode, or at the front of the episode, we want to go ahead and give our condolences to one Kevin Conroy. Thank you so much for your performance. And this entire review / episode is dedicated to his memory. I think we all best know him for Batman. I specifically know him best from the Arkham games specifically. Mm-hmm. Like, of course, I watched a couple of the cartoons and so forth, but I thought it would be appropriate for this month that we open up with Batman Arkham Asylum, since Conroy passed away back in November.
Yeah.
I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good gaming buds, one Phil Shoemaker.
Hey, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And in a new location, Connor Elliott.
Mm-hmm. I'm currently wanted for crimes, but I am innocent of them. This will only be temporary. I will be exonerated in the end. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Connor stole my sweet roll.
Dude, I did more than that. And you know. But, well, I didn't do more than that, because that would mean that the charges are true, which they are not. They're false.
Yeah, he did none of these
know what
things.
you did.
The true person who did it would be...
Think about the families of those that you hurt, dude. Come on.
Dude, I said I didn't do it. That's what I'm telling you.
He didn't do it.
You don't even know.
Like
you don't even know what charges I'm talking about either. So
I
don't know
know
what you're
exactly.
Uh-huh. Yeah, say it then, right now.
It's too graphic.
Yeah, there you go. Uh-huh. He doesn't. I am innocent.
Too graphic. I can't.
I'm innocent.
There we go. All right, gentlemen, We, over the last month, have played Batman Arkham Asylum. At the end of this episode, we will rank it amongst the other games that we've played over the last couple of months. That includes God of War Ragnarok, Resident Evil 4, The Last of Us, Chrono Trigger. So stick around to see where Batman Arkham Asylum ranks in our list of games so far. And to see what game we're going to be ranking next month. Connor, you are a first-time player of Batman Arkham Asylum. What did you think of Batman?
Well, at the end of the day, with my first play session of Batman Arkham Asylum, I can guarantee that I haven't played a more boring, shitty game in many, many years. Now,
Wow.
To start off, I mentioned this to Phil before we started. It's a game I understand the appeal. I understand why people would like it. These are totally just my opinions. I'm not going to try and make the definitive claim that this is a bad game. It's all on me. But with that being said, the combat is boring as fuck. The gameplay to gameplay moment, whether it's traversal, whether it's fighting bosses, whether it's doing any of the side quests, like picking up Riddler trophies, are boring, stupid, lame, and are overdone in the video game landscape today. And if it was good then, I don't really give a shit, because in my experience, I had no fun at all. It threw the same things at me over the course of this boring-ass game with a boring-ass story. It sucked ass. It was terrible. I don't want to play this game ever again, and it has made me not want to play any more of the Batman games beyond that, because now I'm in the mindset of, like, everyone who played this game is an idiot in my mind, because they don't know what it actually is good game. They like it for bad reasons that I don't like. That's probably not true at all. We'll find out if that is the case. But as of right now, I am not hot on this game at all. The voice acting was great. You know, it's the reason why we did this review in the first place. Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, obviously with the star, voice actors in this game, and they both pulled off their roles as Batman and Joker, respectively, perfectly.
Tara Strong as Harley Quinn.
Tara Strong as Harley Quinn. Everyone did good in my eyes. Those were the two standouts. But great voice acting. Everything else sucked.
And just like when we did the Sonic bit in Piggy Bank, Connor's list of enemies on the internet grows.
So
Stack them up.
That
Stack
is
'em up.
easily the hottest take I've ever seen from Connor in my fucking
I was
life.
gonna say, where was that when we were doing hot takes on
Holy
Piggy Bank?
shit.
Jesus.
Because I hadn't been able to beat this game yet. Maybe next time we do hot takes, I'll just put that in again.
We'll just
Refer to this review.
Just cut that bit into the podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Oh,
We'll get into
man.
more of it later, but God.
Phil, what did you think of Batman Arkham Asylum?
Well, I've only played this game like once or twice beforehand. I enjoyed a replay. I do think that it's a little dated. In terms of the combat, which to my memory doesn't really change in the other ones. There might be other aspects that get added to it, but
It gets more complex for sure.
okay, yeah. Definitely more stuff going on in each fight, rather than just having, you got your stun baton guy, you got different kinds of enemies they have to do different moves on. Yeah, I had a good time with this again. I do think that it's for when it came out, it was a good first step for the Arkham trilogy. I guess quadrilogy if you include Origins, but I wouldn't. Yeah, I really enjoyed my replay. I shout out once again to Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill. Fantastic voice work in this game. Mark Hamill. I mean, I know we're doing this for Kevin Conroy, but Mark Hamill is just, he is the Joker to me. Like it's just fantastic, to the point where I think they've in some of the TV shows they brought in Mark Hamill to play like a Joker-esque character who wasn't the Joker. I think of like
the Flash.
Yeah. I think it was the Trickster or something. I don't know.
Trickster, yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I just had a great time playing as the Caped Crusader running through Arkham Asylum yet again.
Good for you, Phil.
I'm somewhere in the middle between you two gentlemen here. I think what's important when you talk about Arkham Asylum is context. Superhero games were very hit or miss, and even like super rarely were they good. You look at examples of superhero games before this game, and they're either like beat 'em up games that are just okay, or like Spider-Man 2, the movie tie-in game, which if you look back at that game, also doesn't hold up very well.
There was also the Iron Man movie tie-in game.
Yeah, a lot of movie tie-in games that just weren't good, or the infamous Superman 64. I think it's important to keep in context that that's what we're dealing with in comparison when you come to Batman Arkham Asylum. This was the first game to have this type of combat system, so everything was experimental and new, and it was exciting back in 2007, 2008 when we played this for the first time. Obviously, as the series goes on, it evolves and they add things to the formula in terms of game structure and game design and combat design that I think makes it work all the way better. But we're not talking about those games. We're talking about this one. This one, I do agree with Phil. Yeah, man, I think it's pretty dated now. And I think its biggest weakness is its overall game direction, like its game design. The choice to have it being on just Arkham Island and having like close environments, closely put together environments, and just small like corridors and hallways, I think really constricts this game, and I think it makes the combat not be able to breathe. The designs, the combat design has no opportunity to really flush out and show you why this combat works. It's every encounter is too small for the brawls to feel fun, and the stealth segments are so, far and few between that they don't have any opportunity to really get creative with any of the environments in them. The boss fights, I think across the board, are pretty atrocious. I'll give you Bane is kind of fun, but from beginning to end, I think the boss fights are really bad, especially the final boss with Titan Joker is awful. And the recycling use of Titan enemies is frustrating and annoying. And yeah, overall, like, I do think this is just a good first step to what will lead to great games. But this one lays the foundation for something great, but fails to become great itself. Also, I don't think its story is good. Like, it's pretty, like, it feels like a haunted house or like a Disneyland like park ride where it's like, all right, now you're here. I was
just going to say it feels like a roller coaster.
Yeah, and it like there's no character in these games. There is the idea of what Batman is, there's the idea of what Joker is, but they don't give the scripts don't give the actors anything to work with. So I think even though he's the definitive voice of Batman in this game, I think Kevin Conroy actually comes off a little flat. Obviously, in the shows and in other games, he has much more, like, a much greater range to play with. But, Batman being such a monotone character, and this game being 100% focused on its plot and only how to get to the next scenario, it just gives him no room to play. So much so to where, like, in the final moments of the game, when he does start emoting, because we're at the climax of the game, it woke me up, and I was like, oh, there's the Batman that I know. Where has he been for the last 8 hours? Mark Hamill injects as much as he can into this game, and sometimes it gets a little annoying, where he just starts laughing and making jokes for no reason, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, this is the Mark Hamill we know, but okay. But yeah, I mean, of course the cast is great. And of course they, put definitive stamps on the characters in other works. I think this is just it's just a cool little thing of like, oh, the cartoon people are in this one. That's kind of cool. So this feels like an extension of the cartoon. I just wish it had the ambition to do more than that.
Arkham Asylum walked so Insomniac Spider-Man could run.
Dude, Insomniac Spider-Man is way better than this game.
No, say it ain't so. Now, here's my issue with the game.
Please, Connor.
I said it was boring.
Yeah.
And then to dive deeper into that, you mentioned earlier the enemy types, Phil, and you as well, Tavin. There are the knife guys who you beat by pressing circle or square on it, X
knife
on
guys
them.
is circle, yep.
Circle,
Yeah.
you circle them.
You have the stun baton, which you do the other one,
Jump
X or
over 'em.
circle. Yeah, you have the normal guys, which you press triangle and punch in very boring ways. Then you have the Titan enemies, who are just reskins of Bane over and over and over again.
Yes, sir.
And then also the special enemies that would be put in the game, the psychos, who you could see a mile away in your
those are the worst. Those are awful. Those are really bad.
And then the plants. Yes, exactly. They're
and fuck the
laying
plants.
your
Oh,
and
yeah,
the plants
that's
as well.
lame.
Like, I want to run up and just kill them because it's not fun to fight them. There's no
No.
difficulty to it. But it's timed in a way that right when you get up to these dumb plant things, they eject their spores, which attack you. So you're gonna get hit if all you're trying to do is get them beat as quickly as possible.
Sneak up on them.
I never tried that.
That's
One
the
other thing. I'm glad you brought up that. Like, also, yeah, you can sneak up on them, but they're not all just timed that way. I found myself, I would be right next to it, waiting for them to come up, and it just wouldn't happen. And then I would choose, okay, I'm just gonna do it, and then they would pop up. I was like, you motherfucker.
Yes.
It's something based in the weird stealth mechanics around them. And so forth.
They're so annoying. I think those are my least favorite. That's like my least favorite enemy in Arkham Asylum.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the psychos do it for me. The psychos piss me off because it's just annoying. Yeah, not cool at all. So, I mean, I'm with you, Connor. The enemy variety is completely lacking, and the combat is super simple. It kind of wants to be simple so that everyone can, and this is the game that spawned the phrase "feels like Batman" or something.
Very
like that.
accessible.
And it's just trying its best to be as accessible as possible. And still create enough depth to where you can kind of feel creative. I don't think I'm showing you gentlemen this, but the gameplay footage I'm showing, I'm behind one of the breakable walls that you can spray gel on, and there's a guard standing on the other side of it. You spray the wall, you blow the wall, and then you knock the guy out with the wall. Stuff like that feels fun. And you do feel like Batman when you do cool stuff like that.
Yeah, the explosive gel is my favorite part of the Arkham series.
Yeah, and it's just... And I think to add to Connor's point that this game is a little boring, especially with a modern lens on it, is that other than the explosive gel and a batarang, none of Batman's gadgets are useful in combat. Mm-hmm. There are very few opportunities in which you can use a bat claw and like pull a guard off of a railing or something, which is kind of cool. But
you get one, and then they just start dodging them.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not useful at all to use any of your gadgets when in open combat. Like, you can make an argument for a quick throw batarang if you're getting swarmed, but how often are you getting swarmed in this game? Because every combat encounter is 5 dudes. 5 to 6 dudes. So like by the time you get that first 3 off, you're just, hitting the guy and then hitting the guy, and you're in a perfect cycle of every time they get up, you knock them right back down. And the game never gives its core combat time to breathe, in my opinion. Like you're only fighting a couple of guys at a time. And I don't want to talk too much about City and Night, but eventually you're fighting like 15, 20 dudes at a time. And, each of them have, Connor's complaining about the enemy types. Each of them have different types of gadgets that are all solved in similar ways. You jump over this one. You stun this one. You counter this one. But instead of 1 or 2 of those guys being in those encounters, like 70% of them have something that you need to think about and take a second and really think things out. And in this game, I can count on one hand the number of times they even put guns in the open combat segments where you have to start worrying about that. And I just think they've got a good bag of tricks. They're just not opening the bag enough for us to get to those tricks.
Yeah, a lot of them, like with the guns, at least they have them like locked up, and they're going over it and sounding the alarm, opening
and
the thing,
takes
and
them forever to go do that.
You have to punch them. You have to punch them, and you just punch them once, and then they're on the ground. And let me go find the other guys. Oh, they're back up, trying to open the thing again. Oh, go punch that guy. Oh, no, I'm gonna go back this way now.
And all of this would be forgivable in my eyes if the bosses were good. Yeah. And in this game, they are not. Like, I enjoy Bane for what he is, even though it is just a reskin of the Titans. But fucking, what are the ones after that? I can't even fucking think of them.
Scarecrow.
Oh, Scarecrow. Connor, back in the day, the Scarecrow bits were like really impressive and revolutionary. What did you think of them today?
Once again, with a modern lens, they just were boring and sucked. The levels themselves that would pop up, I never had difficulty solving them. They were never fun. And here's my big issue with the game, right? everything was facilitated. Like I was already bored with the core mechanics of the game, and it seems like every aspect of it, traversal, fighting those bosses, Scarecrow segment included, took time and longer to do. Like you couldn't really rush them. It had a certain pace that it set.
Yeah.
Which when you're not enjoying the core gameplay, you're just being forced to go slower through a game that you want to get done as quick as possible.
Yep.
Like I died tons of times in this game. Not because I was like difficult struggling with the enemies. It's because I would try to find ways to do it faster, and that would usually end up in me just getting killed.
I did that a lot in the Scarecrow segments.
Yes, and I'm gonna be honest. I raged at this game more than any game I've ever raged at, just because I was so tired of going through. Like I just want to get done with this boss fight. Why do I have to go so slow and methodical through fighting these guys? And I have to wait for I can't just spam Poison Ivy's giant tentacle thing with batarangs to bring down her health. I just want to do that. And going back to the Scarecrow segment, I will give credit. The one that was good was the final one, when it went into that little cutscene where you couldn't skip it because instead of the B button popping up to skip it, it was J for Joker, and it wouldn't go away, and it was the beginning segment of the game where you're strapped to the chair instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that part was good. But other than that,
they just revamped the opening. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
that was a cool. That was a story moment that I was like, hey, I like this. This is cool.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah, it was very good. But overall, those Scarecrow segments, yeah, they are dated. I don't really see the impressiveness of it. I at the time I know it would have been, but nowadays it's like I've seen way better things with better gameplay segments attached to it, and I didn't get that.
We're talking about bosses, and they're all really easy, to the point where I think the most difficult part of this game isn't even a boss fight. It's a room when you have to go back through, I think, towards like the holding cells area, and all of the gargoyles they usually hide on have
oh my
on them
god
now.
Yes.
Oh my god,
there's like 5 guys in that room, and they all have guns,
and it's a room you've been in before.
So you like backtracking through. And that's the hardest part in the game.
But it's not even a fun difficulty. Like, no. I hated that room. Going through it, and when the gargoyles were exploding and stuff, it pissed me off because you're taking one of the few toys that I have that are fun. You're taking that out of the equation. Yep. So now I feel like a lumbering idiot because, let's be honest, Batman just kind of runs around like a buffoon in this game. Like he runs
really funny.
He doesn't feel great to control in the moment to moment. Like it's only in combat and only when I'm doing the stealth stuff that he feels good.
You know how he runs?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know in American Psycho when he's about to kill Paul Allen and he's like, they do the funny and like that's how he runs. That's how he runs.
It's kind of that way, yeah. But yeah, that scenario specifically where they're like, "Oh, we're going to challenge you by limiting you." No, you're pissing me off by limiting me is what you're doing. And I was severely disappointed in that segment because I was just like, "Holy fuck, like how the fuck did this happen?"
I do think that's the one that I had to attempt the most times just cuz I kept dying and getting frustrated.
Okay, I have to ask you guys this because it confounded me and I didn't care to look it up. Stealth's bad, right? In this game, it's not good. Because from my perspective, let me just say my situation was you either could take out enemies by getting them to gargoyles, which if you did that, they would attract attention. Mm-hmm. If you snuck up behind them, almost everyone had collars on, so it would go off and attract attention.
You gotta be fast.
If you glide kick somebody, they would get hit down, and even though I would do it right away, everyone would still take notice of that. It seems like any action I did in stealth would be giving me away regardless of where I was in the room at any given time. And I felt like I was, except unless you go down and you grab them from behind, which, well, like I said before, if you do that, they might have a collar on, which most of the time they did. But even if they didn't, he moved so slowly when he wasn't, gliding around or ziplining around. So it would usually, end up getting me caught, or the timing was way off all the time and just made stealth boring and not fun and aggravating.
So I don't think it's bad. I actually think it's solid. It's just super simple. And it's 100% like, all right, I'm hanging out in a gargoyle. Which one of these 6 guys is going to be hanging out alone? Okay, I'm going to go get him. And then I'm going to go back to the gargoyle, and I'm going to wait for another one of the 5 guys now to separate off, and then I'm going to go get him. And as soon as they start noticing that they're getting taken out, it became even easier for me, where then they would get scared and start spreading out more and more and more, to the point to where, Connor, you're complaining about, oh, it would attract their attention and so forth. I actually liked that. My first takedown was almost always a gargoyle takedown because it got them scared faster and it let them know I was in there immediately. Whereas in the early parts of the game, where like if you're just taking them out one by one, you know, eventually you just get to the point where there's just 2 guys left, and in there you just knock one down, take the other one down, and then finish off the guy you put down. Like, and like the collars, even easier because there was a delay on them knowing. It's not like as soon as they knocked out, it went off, and they knew they knocked out, it went off, and then you still had to wait for Joker to be like, one of them's taken out, boys. You better be careful. Like.
Paging Dr. Bats.
Yeah, like it's not that it's bad. It's just so ABC simple to where, like, you know, coming off the back of Dishonored, and The Last of Us, you're sitting here like, yo, what the fuck? How the fuck is it like this? You know, which are, you know, in the same generation of games, but they're on the opposite ends of the game of the generation. So I understand how 1 + 1 = 2 here.
I do think that for me the stealth peaks very early. In that room with right before you go rescue the doctors.
The gargoyle, isn't it the gargoyle room?
There's gargoyles in
that's
every
one of them.
room.
Yeah, that's the first time you go through it. Yeah.
The ones that get blow up later. Yeah.
No, not that one. Not when you're trying to find the guy who captured Commissioner Gordon. Right before you split off into those all those different.
You're right.
Rooms
There's
to
those
find
3
each
different
doctor.
rooms that you got to go to. Yeah,
yes.
I'm actually showing
So
that footage right now.
In that big room, oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah.
In that big room, you have that one guard that's standing by the explodable wall, and that's like. So my usual go-to is I'll take. There's a guy on the other side of that wall also, so I would gargoyle take down him, then I would explosive gel. Immediately blow it up, gargoyle, and fucking zoom around. Then they're all fucking scared shitless. It's like, oh my god, how did this not kill this guy? Because that's a Batman doesn't kill people. That explosive gel is fucking killing people.
Oh yeah, bro, they're dying.
They're dead. It's so satisfying. And then I would do like Tavin. I would wait for one of them to split off, take them out, rinse and repeat. It's very simple.
I would agree that it might be boring, but it's I wouldn't call it bad. Yeah. So you didn't like the Riddler stuff, huh, Connor?
I hated that. The extra content, the only one that was good were the tapes, the interview tapes. Those
tapes are good.
The tapes are good. The tapes are good.
Yeah.
I like the UI design in this game, where it
that?
looks like a comic book.
Oh yeah.
With the UI, I like all of that. That's all fun.
But I was just going to say that just ties into more with what we've already been praising, and that's the voice acting, that's the characters. That's what we like that part, you know.
All leads back to that. All the good parts of the game.
Yeah, but all of the good acting and good moments and good writing is in the optional content, not in the thing that you are exposed to. And you have to there were times where it's like I would start one and then close the window and it would keep playing, but then other times I'd start it and close it and it would stop. So I just didn't. I ended up not even bothering it for most of my playthrough.
I never had that issue. It would play pretty much all of them.
Yeah.
Just to stay on this topic, thanks for changing it. I also liked the goons, their dialogue with one another, and the funny things they would say.
They're funny.
The writing across the game is good. You know, at least everything aside from the main story, which is funny because they clearly have something going for them as far as writing goes. It's just they didn't execute it on the meat of that game, of the story.
I think I agree. Yeah, the moment to moment dialogue and just kind of offshoot stuff is fun to listen to.
That's what let's say Arkham Asylum is like Thanksgiving. You're not there for the main course. You're there for all the sides.
That's good. That's good. Also, it's worth saying we only just played the main story. I like the alternate modes are just like combat rooms or whatever again and again.
I did a couple of those.
I like that because then they do what I'm saying, where they throw a bunch of guys at you and you can start breathing and so forth. Also, the combat is not super refined in this game, where I often found myself breaking my own combo by countering too early, or like a guy would run up to go punch me, but then Batman would leap across the room and punch somebody else, and then I would press the counter button and fuck up my combo. Not a problem in later games, but that's a for a later game thing. the Riddler stuff, it's okay in this game. It's just super simple. Like everything just gets more complex. We get the deeper into the franchise we get, which is what I like. The fucking teeth annoyed the shit out of me because they were just constantly in my ear, just and there was always
for me
3 to 5 of them.
I look at the teeth as just like, hey, yeah, you're supposed to go this way.
Fair, yeah, it is it's a better way of saying go this way without putting bad guys in your way.
Yeah.
But you know, if you don't destroy those teeth, then they start working against you. Where you go, am I supposed to go this way?
Destroy them?
I don't know, because you're Connor.
They give you EXP.
Yeah.
You know, I think that really boosted up the cost of Joker's operation in that game. Like I kept thinking, like,
and all the random fucking presents that showed up behind you and shit.
It's like hey, boss, listen. I know, big plan, taking over the asylum, gonna get this mutated thing. You put a lot of money into the back end of this already, right? You got to bribe the doctors and the guards and everything. It's a lot of money. Do we need the $5,000 of expenses for the little chattering teeth?
We need the teeth.
Is that necessary right here, boss? I don't know if that's fucking.
If the teeth aren't there, how's Batman gonna know where he's supposed to go?
I mean, he could just not. That sounds like it would slow him down and maybe even like cause us to, get the job done.
And then he just shoots him.
Yeah, at that point, you're asking for it. It's like, who do you think you're working for? The guy, this guy. Like, you're not working for the guy. You can second guess him once because usually he's fine with it, makes a joke. But a second time, then you're just annoying at that point. Which, again, to the comedy of the game, I really liked the end segment leading up to Joker's boss fight, where you go to the area he's in and you see the guy and say, "Hey, let me check and see if you're on the list," and you could clearly beat them up. At least I assumed you could.
There's a trophy if you knock them all out.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
You didn't beat them up? You just walked through the room?
It's so funny because they just like, yep, go on in, and they go into all the
they're
lined up. No, there's the bat cheering you on. Just
it's
a funny
like
moment that's very
one of
Joker-esque.
2 times in the game where you can use the line launcher and just like not like domino effect them and shit, and it's so
I didn't even
fucking
think
funny.
about doing that. That
Oh,
sounds
it's
awesome.
hilarious. I use the line launcher or I use my explosive gel because they'll just sit there and clap while you're like putting bombs at their feet.
What are you doing there, Bat? You drawing a picture?
Yeah, that little bat right there. That's cute. The bat's drawing a bat. There is fun to be had here. It's just I think the crippling part of this game is just its world design and its level design because it just doesn't allow the mechanics to breathe in at all. And also, how fucking useless are these upgrades that you're getting? Like,
oh my God, they're terrible.
I didn't want any of them. I got the inverted takedown. I got the break people's arms once you get the multiplier, and I got the multiplier reduced. Other than that, I don't give a fuck about any of these things.
I mean, you could say something about the extra health. You could say something about the multiple battering thing.
Only needed the extra health in the Bane fight and the Poison Ivy fight.
But yeah, not great.
How many times did you use a sonic battering to attract a guard somewhere?
Once.
I never unlocked it. I looked at it and I was like, that's not going to be useful at all.
What's funny is it's the attract thing, and then you can get another upgrade to make it blow up.
And then their collars won't go off.
Oh, is that true? Oh, I didn't know that. Interesting. I still don't care because the game is a fucking cakewalk. Outside of the fucking what did we call? There's something we called the like were they called rage gates? Is that what we called them in like the God of War 3 hype review?
Yes.
Yeah, rage gates. Like the few rage gates that are in this game are the only times where I was like, all right, fucking Christ. Which is hilarious because back in the day, everyone loved the loading screen where the bad guy made fun of you as you died, and I think they're still fun. It's like it's literally like Phil, and this leads to my Jack and Daxter 1 critique where I thought Daxter. I thought Daxter was super annoying because every time you died, he got up in your face and told you were a moron. I like it here because they're not my best friends.
Good night, Jack.
Yeah. Where like I was like, dude, you're my best friend. Why are you making fun of me for dying? Here, I'm like, yeah, Joker, you got me. You can make fun of me for dying here.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. No, was nobody talking?
No,
I thought I heard
was saying something.
Oh, I said the villain.
The villain.
The villain.
Hey,
good night, Jack.
Yeah. yeah. Arkham Asylum, it was okay, but definitely a foundation that would lead to something greater.
We'll see.
Now, gentlemen, it's time to rank this bad boy.
I already ranked it.
You know, as
Sure. I think this is
you know,
the first time we're
it's-
going to disagree, like hard disagree of where this should go.
you know, Tavin, it's fitting that you would say like a foundation, because I think this is going at the bottom of the list.
Oh, wow. Okay, maybe
Yeah.
not. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, the current list right now is number 6, Resident Evil 4, number 5, Portal, number 4, Chrono Trigger, number 3, Dishonored, number 2, The Last of Us, number 1, God of War, Ragnarok. Well, both of you clearly went at the bottom, so it's going to be at the bottom.
The only thing I would say is maybe above Resident Evil 4, but you know.
I could see an argument for above even Portal. Once you hit Chrono Trigger, fuck no. Absolutely not. Chrono Trigger and up is better than this game by quite a bit. But you know what? Honestly, like, I would rather replay Resident Evil 4 right now than replay Arkham Asylum, and I think I'll feel that way till the end of time after this playthrough, where this is a game. Honestly, I was a little disappointed by the end of it because I was like, man, this is a game that, like, I remember when it hit, and I remember how dope it was, and I remember how revolutionary it was. I mean, this gave a new outlet for, like, character action games that, like, weren't as flashy or dense as, like, a Devil May Cry, but, you know, still felt good, and you still felt in control and still felt powerful. And it was able to ground the world in something that, like, was believable. But then, 15 years later, I look back at this and I go, this is pretty stiff and honestly kind of boring. So yeah, I'm okay with this going at number 7 for underneath everything.
And so it is written.
So it is written. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to get. Where am I here? What am I trying to do? Oh shit! I fucked something.
Spin that wheel.
We're spinning a wheel. So it is January. It is a new time. I'm fucking this up, so I gotta change things. There we go. We found like a little website where we spin a wheel, and I'm showing it to the gentleman, and I'm showing it to you, ladies and gentlemen at home. Oops, I fucked up. I didn't want to do this.
I was gonna say I'm still looking at the list.
So much.
There we go. All right, so there's a bunch of games in here. Here, I'll scroll through part of the list.
Get the list.
Well, you might be seeing something different. I don't know what to tell you guys because I'm up on the wheel now. Are you up on the wheel now?
No.
Yeah, to be honest, here, wait a second. It was strange because I didn't see the gameplay for the Batman at all either. Almost like it's delayed.
No, I didn't show you the Batman gameplay.
Oh, okay.
I should have done this better back in the thing. So here, let me start the share thing again.
There we go.
There it is.
There it is. All right.
Oh,
I think it got paused because it was I had closed the window for a little while. Anyway, so we've got a whole list of games here that you can kind of scroll through, or that we can scroll through and so forth. And ladies and gentlemen, you can kind of pause it and see what's on there for right now. We got a whole.
We had Injustice on here.
Oh yeah, we do. We got a whole bunch of shit up in here, baby. For the most part, we try to keep it if it's a series of games, we want to play the first one first, or at least the relevant one first. And that includes mechanics, and that includes story, that includes like all the things like that. So for the most part, from here on out, we will be going in order. Doom Eternal needs to just turn into Doom. There we go.
2016.
You are right. Bada boom. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get right into it. But first, gentlemen, what are we hoping for? What are we hoping comes up on the list here?
You know what? I'm really hoping, because I've been itching to play it again, to get Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines up. Because I think you guys will enjoy that game. It's a short game. It has such replayability. Even more so than games like Dishonored, I would say. It's my top one.
I would really like for y'all to have to play a Pokemon game. I would also really like to play. It would be like really convenient. I think Tavin mentioned something about convenience earlier, but it would be really convenient if Kingdom Hearts rolled up, because I'm in the middle of a Proud Mode playthrough, and I think I'm a little under halfway.
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah, that was an off-camera conversation because off of the back of Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion, I am in the middle of a Final Fantasy VII original playthrough. So it'd be nice if we could play some Final Fantasy VII, especially leading into Rebirth coming out here soon. It'd be nice to not have to put that down to play something else. But here we go, ladies and gentlemen. 3, 2, 1, spinning, and then the spinning animation does take quite a while. So here we go. Where are we landing here?
It gets a hype. I hope it's not a game that I am going to hate. Can't see it.
We got some Hades.
Well,
that's a game I got the platinum for last year.
There we go. We got some Hades. All right. So Hades is a big game. I think it's fair to say you're good enough if we just beat Hades one time, because we're all starting from a fresh save.
Front to back, yeah, okay.
Yeah, is that fair? One time beating of Hades.
I'll probably go farther than that.
It's a fun game. We can.
Because I'm also I also started a new Hades thing last year, and I'm like 10 wins in on that, so I don't want to outdo that one. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I was gonna say I was gonna say if we bring Persephone back, but that's like
that's 10, far. I've never done that.
It's beating Hades 10 times.
Yeah,
you never did that?
I've never done that. No.
Ever?
No.
God damn.
Dang. I know. It's a lot. It's Hades, man. It's a lot. I don't know what to tell you. Each run takes like 30 minutes.
Not even.
No. We'll get this game off the list.
It's like 15 or 20.
There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, February, let me find the date. I got to find it down here. It's the first Sunday rather of February.
Right.
So
that's right.
All right, so February 5th, 6th, somewhere around there. We'll be recording on the 5th. Will be our Game Club review of Hades. I have a feeling that one will be quite enjoyed. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for your monthly video game, 2-penny game club, your video game book club. Thank you so much for watching and playing along with us. We've all got some Hades to get through for this next month. Fresh saves for everybody here. And until next time, have a great time. Gentlemen, say goodbye to the people.
See ya.